Hey everybody, welcome back to Clues by Sam. It's Saturday and we have a hard one today. I haven't seen any controversies about this, so let's just see how this goes. I think we have a good one in our hands today. If you don't know what Clues by Sam is, it's a daily puzzle game where you have 20 people. Each of them may be a criminal or an innocent, and you gotta use the clues that those people give you to figure out who is what. I'm here every day doing this, and I encourage you to try it as well if you want to do it for practice. You don't need to start with a hard one. There's also a puzzle pack you can buy, and it has ranging difficulty from easy to brutal ones. So today we have a hard one, but on Monday we're probably gonna have an easy one. If you do try, then let me know how it went for you, or if you get stuck and need some help, I'm gonna be here doing this from start to finish. And if you just wanna go along with it, then I'm starting right away. Let's go. We see Sophia telling us that Maria is one of 5 criminal neighbors. Oh, 2 Sophias? So Maria is a criminal, and Sophia has 8 criminal neighbors. So 3 of them are innocent, since 5 of them are criminal. Let's leave that clue there to remind us of that. Now Maria tells us that both innocents above Wanda here are connected. And we know for sure that Sophia, who is above Wanda, is an innocent. So the only other person who is also above Wanda and is connected to Sophia is Logan. So Logan has to be one of Sophia's 3 innocent neighbors. And I guess we also know that both Henry and Clyde are criminals, since the clue that Maria gave us tells us there's only 2 innocents above Wanda. So we can rule out Clyde and Henry, and we don't need Maria's clue anymore. Now Logan tells us that exactly 2 innocents in row 1 are in the corners. The corners are the people on the corners, and the edges are the people surrounding the board. So since there's 2 corners in row 1 and 2 innocents in corners in row 1, then both Alex and Evie have to be innocent, and we don't need Logan's clue anymore. Now let's go for Clyde. Pony has more criminal neighbors than Ziad. Oh, we don't know about Bonnie or Ziad for that matter, so we leave that clue there. Henry tells us that Clyde and Ziad have an equal number of criminal neighbors. Do we know about Clyde? Not yet either. So let's look at Alex's clue. 2 of Sophia's neighbors on the edges are innocent. So Sophia has 5 people neighboring her on the edges, and 2 of them are innocent. Since we know that, we also know that Logan is the 3rd innocent that Sophia has as a neighbor, which means that both Rob and Coomer, who are not on the edges, are criminal, because we already know about all 3 of Sophia's neighbors who are innocent, Logan and 2 people on the edges. So the ones that are not on the edges are all criminal now. Good. I guess we don't need Alex's clue anymore, and Coomer now tells us that there are more criminals in column C than column D. Column C so far has 2 criminals. If both Terry and Ziad were to be criminals, then there's no way for column C to have more criminal people than column D, because the only other person in column C who could be a criminal is Wanda. And also, if that happens, then where is Sophia's 2 innocent neighbors that we're missing? Vero could be an innocent, but where's the second one that we need? That couldn't happen. So we know 2 things. Or do we? Yeah. We know that we can't have 2 criminals here. What's the second thing, Ve? Let's go. Go ahead. Tell us. What could Wanda be an innocent? Let's think about that. There's no way for Wanda to be an innocent. Or is there? I don't think there is. Or is there? Is there a way for both Terry and Zia to be innocents? I guess there is. Because now Wanda could be a criminal, actually Wanda would have to be a criminal, because Sophia couldn't have any more innocent neighbors, and now there's no way for column D to have more or even the same number of criminals as column C. So that would be good for us. I guess we need to try and eliminate Wanda as a criminal. And if I guess that, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna click here and guess that. It means that I'm gonna try to create a scenario in which Wanda is possibly an innocent and where this works. This rule and Sophia's total number of neighbors work together. So let's say that Wanda is an innocent. Now Terry and Ziad couldn't be, like we said before, both of them criminals. But could they be one an innocent and the other one a criminal? So far, no, they couldn't. Because now column C has 2 criminal neighbors only, and column D already has 2 criminal neighbors, even if Igor is an innocent. And that breaks Kummer's clue. So Wanda couldn't ever be an innocent. There's no way for that to work with Kummer's clue. So Wanda is for sure a criminal. Now, what do we know? Do we know that these guys are one or the other? No, because they could both of them be innocents. So let's look at Wanda's clue. There are 12 innocents in total. We have 4 already, so that's Alex, Evie, Logan, and Sophia. That's 4. We're gonna have 2 more, at least, no, neighboring Sophia, so that's gonna be 6. Let's say that both of them are Terry and Ziad. Let's just say that for the sake of counting. Now we have 6. Who are the other 6? How many people do we have left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 people left, which means that we have 1 more criminal only on the board to find. That's really interesting. Really interesting. Let's go back to the clue that talks about Ziad. There's 2 clues that talk about Ziad. Clyde says that Bonnie has more criminal neighbors than Ziad. And Henry says that Clyde and Ziad have an equal number of criminal neighbors. So that's good. Bonnie so far has 2 criminal neighbors. So that means that if Terry is a criminal, then Bonnie would have to have 1 more criminal neighbor. And that it couldn't be Gus. Because if Gus... It could be Gus, because if Gus is a criminal, then Clyde has 2 criminal neighbors now. Ziad has 2 as well. And that's our final criminal on the board. So that works for us. And then both Vera and Ziad would be innocents, but that's not what we're investigating at the moment. Let's think about Terry being an innocent. Now Clyde would have to have no more innocents. No more innocents. No more criminal neighbors. Because Clyde already has Henry as a criminal neighbor, and he has to have the same number as Ziad. So that will be 1. Only Wanda is a criminal neighbor to Ziad. So that will make Igor, Bonnie, and Gus all innocents. Does that work for Bonnie and Ziad? It does, because Bonnie already has 2 criminal neighbors, and that's more than Ziad has. Even if Flora is an innocent, that works, but if Flora is a criminal, that also works for Bonnie. So what did we figure out here? What did we figure out here? That Terry could be either an innocent or a criminal? We gotta look also at column C having more criminals than column D. Or do we? I was so confident there. I don't think we need Kummer's clue anymore. I don't think there's a way for... Oh, there is. There is a way for column C and column D to have the same number of criminals. Or is there? Maybe Eager is always an innocent because if both of these guys are innocents, that's okay. Then column C has more criminals than column D. That's fine. If they are a one or the other, still, column C has more criminal people than column D. As long as Eager isn't a criminal. Because if Eager is a criminal, both of these guys have to be innocent. And if both of these guys are innocent, Clyde has more criminal neighbors than Ziad. So in this situation, Eager couldn't be a criminal. Eager couldn't be a criminal if Terry was a criminal, because even though Clyde and Ziad have the same number of criminal neighbors, Bonnie doesn't have more criminal neighbors than Ziad. And she couldn't have because Flora would have to be an innocent since there's only one more criminal on the whole board. Besides the two that we have down here. Not the two, the single one that we have down here. So the only way for Terry to be a criminal, and also in this situation, if both Terry and Eager are criminals, then column C and column D have the same number of criminal people. So it breaks 2 rules. 3 rules. 2 rules. Clydes and Kummers. Okay. So the only way for Terry to be a criminal is for Eager to be an innocent. And the same goes for Ziad and Terry. If Ziad is a criminal and Terry is an innocent, also Eager couldn't be an innocent. Couldn't be a criminal. Oh my god, sorry. So Eager is always an innocent. What now? What now? Now we have that same situation where it doesn't matter what Terry is, because if he is an innocent, then Gus has to be an innocent. In order for Clyde and Zia to have the same number of criminal neighbors, then Bonnie has to be an innocent. If Terry is a criminal, Gus has to be a criminal. So that Bonnie has more criminal neighbors than Ziad, and Clyde has the same number of criminal neighbors as Ziad. Is there a way where Bonnie could be a criminal? There is if Terry is an innocent, because then Gus is an innocent. Nah, there isn't. Sorry. Because if Terry is an innocent, Bonnie couldn't be a criminal, or Gus, because then Clyde would have more criminal neighbors than Ziad, and they have to have the same number. And if Gus is, like, let's say that Terry is a criminal, then Bonnie also has to have one more criminal neighbor besides Clyde. So Clyde couldn't have Bonnie be the next criminal neighbor here to equal Ziad's number, because then Bonnie wouldn't have more criminal neighbors than Ziad. There wouldn't be a way for Bonnie to have more, since Bonnie would be the last criminal. So we know now that Bonnie is always an innocent. We don't know about Gus though yet. Bonnie now tells us there are exactly 2 innocents in row 5. Do we know if those 2 innocents are Vera and Ziad? Do we know if they're Ziad and Uma, or Vera and Uma? And does that make... This is me thinking. Okay, so let me explain this again. We know for sure that there's gonna be 2 innocents here, right? And where's the clue that says the total of innocents? 1 does. Oh my god. 1 just says there are 12 innocents in total, right? Let's try to make both Vera and Ziad innocents. Now, that makes Terry a criminal, doesn't it? That breaks, because Terry makes Ziad have 2 criminal neighbors, and that would make Clyde have to have 2 criminal neighbors as well, so that would make Gus have to be a criminal. But since the clue is telling us that there's only 2 innocents in row 5, Uma would have to be a criminal if we put both innocents down here. And now, how many innocents can we have in total on the board? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's no way for us to make 12 innocents. So we can't have both of these guys be innocents. So one of them is going to have to be a criminal and the other one an innocent. And that makes it so Terry and Uma are both innocents. Now Uma tells us that, and now we also know that since Clyde has to have the same number of criminal neighbors as Ziad, Gus is going to be an innocent as well. And now Uma tells us that Bonnie and Nicole have an equal number of criminal neighbors. So Bonnie and Nicole, both of them have 5 neighbors total. Nicole has 2 criminal neighbors already, so that tells us that Bonnie is gonna have 2 as well. And Clyde and Henry are those 2, which means that Flora is an innocent. Oh, that's really wrong. I jumped the gun there. Shouldn't jump the gun ever. Yeah, that isn't true because Vera could be a criminal, and if Vera is a criminal, then there is space for Flora to be a criminal. I think that's gonna be it, actually. But I don't know yet, so let's leave that there and think about it again. Okay, so we don't need cumulus clue anymore because there's no way for column D to have the same number of innocents as column C, so we don't need to logic on that anymore. We don't need Bonnie's clue anymore. Bonnie already has more criminal neighbors than Zia. There's no way for her to have the same number, so we don't need Clyde's clue anymore. And neither do we need Henry's. So we need to rationalize on that, actually, because let's say that Vera is an innocent and Ziad is a criminal. We still need to have one more criminal on the board. Could that be Nicole? It could. And then both Bonnie and Nicole would have an equal number of criminal neighbors because Bonnie has 2 and Nicole has 2. So that would make Jane and Flora both innocents. Is there a way for Jane to be a criminal? Let's try that. If Jane is a criminal, even if Vera is an innocent and Ziad is a criminal, still Bonnie would need one more criminal neighbor. And it couldn't be Flora because that will break the total number of innocents on the board, since we can only have one more criminal besides the one who's gonna be either Vera or Ziad, right? So Jane couldn't be a criminal. And if Vera is a criminal, then obviously now Nicole has way more criminal neighbors than Bonnie could ever have. So Jane is always an innocent. These two are one or the other. Now Jane tells us that Gus has more criminal neighbors than Vera. So Gus so far has 3 criminal neighbors. How many does Vera have? 2. And Vera could at most have 3. So how do we disambiguate that? Because we knew that if Nicole were a criminal, that could work if Vera were an innocent and Zia the criminal. Because Nicole could still have the same number of criminal neighbors as Bonnie if Flora were to be an innocent. This works. We have the correct amount of innocents on the board. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But now, Gus doesn't have the same. Oh, Gus does have the same number of 1, 2, 3. Gus has 3 criminal neighbors and Vera has 3 criminal neighbors. So that works. Oh, that doesn't work. Jane's telling us that Gus has more criminal neighbors than Vera, so not the same amount. How does that work? It only works if Vera doesn't have one more criminal neighbor. So Nicole is an innocent now. And because of that, she has to have one more criminal neighbor because she will have to match the same amount as Bonnie has, which is 3. And Ziad is an innocent. Now Gus has more criminal neighbors than Vera. 4 is more than 2. And Nicole and Bonnie have the same number of criminal neighbors. So that's it. We figured 4 people out at once. Because the other scenario for Nicole wasn't right. Yeah, that was it. Well, what was the one mistake there? Oh, I jumped the gun. Yeah. Didn't think that through. Just what I said yesterday, and that took me almost 25 minutes. Well, I hope I could explain the logic there, and that my mistake serves as learning for us all. Because sometimes we do guess things before we can prove them. Just like I said yesterday, sometimes I'm too eager to confirm what I'm thinking that I don't think about exhausting other possible scenarios. I'm not looking at the right person at that precise moment. So yeah, this is gonna be it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to let me know if you did try and if this helped you. And I'll be here again tomorrow with more Clues by Sam, so see you then.